Chef Damien here. We wanted to put together a little program for you on some recipes, a little bit of employee engagement. We're gonna have a lot of fun doing that. I wanted to come at this from a perspective though of how can our sellers also use it to go to their customers with a couple of neat recipes. So there's gonna be a couple of points where I'm gonna tell you how you can do it at home and then how our sellers can use a recipe to show their customers. Listen, I'm a working dad. Everybody thinks, oh, you're a chef, it's so easy to go home and just knock it out. I leave here, I've got 45 minutes to get from what I have to do to scouts or to a school function or to go run errands. I have the same issues everybody else has. How can we do things nice and quick? Now listen, this definitely isn't dinner. We're not gonna open it up with that. It's Chef Damien. We're opening it up with dessert. So this is one of the fun things that I like to put together for my family. They enjoy it. I actually make a couple extras of these for breakfast the next morning because they're not too bad a day later. But again, sellers, you'll be able to use this for your customers. So we're going to talk about the ingredients. Pretty easy. I don't do anything overly complicated. In this day and age, sellers, when you're selling to your customers, we know we got to keep labor tight. How can we make it easy? How can we make stuff ahead of time? Folks at home, how can I make it easy for myself? I want to sit down and watch the new episode of Walking Dead or whatever. How can I make something quick and easy? So we start with biscuit mix. Sellers, you know this product, you love this product, it's a great product. But at home, listen, I know you can't buy 6 of these. We're just gonna use biscuit mix, Bisquick. You can use any biscuit mix you want that's a flour starter. Follow the directions on the box. Those are perfect. And then we're just gonna add stuff. So today, the stuff that we're gonna do is the flour mix, whether you choose Bisquick or the gold medal. We're gonna use chocolate chips, whatever you like. And listen, you could change these into dark chocolate, light chocolate, white chocolate, butterscotch, whatever you want. We're gonna use a little bit of buttermilk instead of water, but if you wanna use water, if you don't like the tanginess of buttermilk, God bless you, use what makes you happy. We're gonna use sugar 2 times. So the smaller amount of sugar is actually gonna get added to our strawberries eventually to macerate them. The other bulkier sugar is going to be to add to the biscuit mix to sweeten it up a little bit of vanilla, because I love vanilla. And then we got a little bit of turbinado sugar for the top to make it nice and crispy and crunchy, so it gives it a little bit of extra flair. So Chef Damien, sounds great. How do we make it? No problem. Go ahead and pause the video. Go get yourself a pen and paper. All right, you're back. So, like I said, you're gonna follow your biscuit directions on your box. So Bisquick called for 2 1/4 cups of biscuit mix. To that, it asked for 2/3 cup milk. I'm using buttermilk like I told you, just because I love that tanginess. Next, we're gonna add probably about almost 1/4 cup, but probably about 3 big heaping tablespoons of sugar. My recipes you can adjust. If you like it sweeter, go sweeter. If you like it less sweet, if you don't want any sweet at all, do what makes you happy. It's not gonna hurt this recipe either way. But I'm gonna go just so it has a little touch of sweetness. Then we're gonna add our vanilla. That was about 1 tablespoon. I like a nice strong vanilla flavor. I use a good quality vanilla. You can buy imitation, you can use any vanilla you want. It doesn't make a difference. I like buying a little bit more expensive stuff because then I feel like I use less of it. And then at the end of the day, and sellers listen to this, you can share it with your customers. At the end of the day, the cost is really the same if I'm using less of the more expensive stuff or a lot of the really cheap stuff. Usually it'll balance out, and then people are kicking in your door trying to get your food. When I'm mixing, I like using a paddle style mixer. Spatula is fine, wooden spoon. If grandma left that to you, go ahead and use it. And I just fold. You can go back and forth. You don't want to overmix this. If you overmix, it's not gonna ruin it, but you'll wind up with a much tighter biscuit. So I get it to where I feel it's about 7/8 of the way mixed. And listen, you could have a little tiny bit of dryness in there. It's not gonna hurt. I get almost to the end and I add 2/3 of a cup, it's probably a little bit more, of chocolate chips. I just fold those in, and that's gonna be that final little bit of mixing that I need, right? Just a little bit to get the chocolate chips out. Listen, if you want to put all the chocolate chips in one corner and that's your biscuit, that's your problem and everybody else's. Now, as far as equipment, it doesn't take a lot. I got a cutting board for later on for when I'm cutting my biscuits open. A cookie sheet. I have this because it's a professional kitchen. I lined it with paper. You can use anything. If you use a non-stick pan, make sure you remember you got to drop your heat down in your oven a little bit. That's those black pans. I like using just a traditional aluminum pan. I line it with paper. You can just hit it with a little bit of spray if you want. I also have the luck of having what's called a disher. This makes it a lot easier to make sure my biscuits are the same. I don't have a disher at home. I just use a spoon and I just drop the biscuits. That's all you have to do. It makes it look nice and homemade. So all you do is scoop your biscuits. I make them just ever so much, a little bit of a heap, because then it has a really artisanal or homemade style look. And when I put my biscuits down, I make sure I space them so they have room to grow, right? When I was little, Mom would always ask me to put the cookies on the sheet pan. My cookies always grew together and became squares because I didn't give them enough room to puff up. So just remember, you give yourself a little bit of room to grow. Now, a little bit of a warning if you're using paper. A lot of people make this mistake. I'm not gonna have enough biscuit mix to cover the whole thing. If I only put biscuits up to 2/3 of my pan, this paper is gonna flap. How do I stop that from happening? I just make sure I put biscuits on that end of the sheet pan. Now, turbinado sugar. You don't have to use this. You can use granulated sugar. You can skip this part of the process. Does not make a difference. I like adding it on there because it adds a little bit of extra texture to the top of the biscuit. All you do is take the turbinado sugar, and it's really just sugar in the raw. There's a million different ways you can call it. It is not brown sugar though. Brown sugar will burn the top of your biscuits. So you want to use something either sugar in the raw or turbinado sugar, and it is just a sprinkle. So through movie magic, we're gonna go ahead and get these in the oven. My recommended temperature on that Bisquick was 425. I'm probably gonna drop my temperature just a little bit because I'm using a convection oven. It's gonna cook a little bit faster. But when you see me next, we'll have a nice hot biscuit that we're then gonna top it for dessert. All right, like we said, movie magic, ladies and gentlemen. You ready? I hope so. So like I said, I turned my temperature down just a touch. I like my biscuits done just a little bit darker. You can undercook them, you can overcook them, whatever makes the best sense for you and your family. If you cook these a little bit darker, they'll last till the next day a little bit better because they'll be sealed. So you ready? So, biscuits. Remember that extra sugar that I had? Well, I macerated my strawberries. All maceration is taking sugar and putting it on a fruit. You can see that there's a little bit of moisture that's coming. The more you leave these sit, the more you'll see that juice express itself from the strawberries. So all this is fresh strawberries and a little tiny bit of sprinkling of sugar. I probably, for this recipe, do about 6 to 7 medium strawberries cut into quarters with probably about a tablespoon of sugar added to it. You can do these even in the morning. If you do them in the morning, you'll lose about half of your bulk on the strawberries, but you'll have a lot more sauce. So now, how are we filling these? Well, whipped cream. I love making whipped cream. Heavy cream. I use granulated sugar. I know a lot of you have been taught to use powdered sugar. I prefer granulated sugar. So that's probably about 5 to 6 ounces of cream with probably about a tablespoon, maybe a little bit more of granulated sugar. And then probably about half a teaspoon, I'm sorry, there's probably a teaspoon of vanilla. And just start whisking. And whisking. And whisking. Still whisking. Whisking more. Listen, You can make it like this, and this is a delicious way to make whipped cream. But there's no shame if you're trying to make something nice for your family, making a little bit of a shortcut. Absolutely no shame whatsoever. So feel free. This isn't that hard to do. If you want to do this, easier way to do it is actually put your bowl in the freezer for about a half hour before. It'll help you get in the loft on your whipped cream a little bit quicker. But again, if you're trying to do something nice and quick and you want to be part of the party instead of just running the party, take the shortcut. All right, you ready? So I'm going to use a fancy plate. You don't have to use a fancy plate. You can use a paper plate. You can use whatever you want to use. For your customers out there, sellers, they can use something a little bit nicer. Spend a couple of bucks on a plate that you use over and over and over again, and it brings up the premium quality of something that is pretty basic. So we're just going to take our biscuit and cut it just as if you were getting ready to butter it. It's going to crumble a little bit, and that's okay. Biscuit on the plate. Whipped cream. A little bit. Strawberries. I make a mess out of the strawberries, and then what I'll actually do is place a little bit more on the plate. Now listen, you could add mint to this, you can add any kind of seasoning you want to it, something sweet. If you like vanilla, cinnamon, whatever you like in your strawberries. If you want to do blueberries or raspberries or anything else, any of those items will fit nicely in this dessert. So just a little bit more whipped cream. Top it. Don't forget the extra chocolate chips. It's that simple. So nice, if you want to offset, you can offset so people can see what's going on. Beautiful plate. That's it. All right, taste test time. A little bit of chocolate chip, a little bit of whipped cream, strawberry. I love using dark chocolate chips on this. It goes so well with the strawberries. Guys, I want you to have good luck out there. More videos to come, more fun to come. You have any questions? Damien.Toriak at US Foods. You know how to get me. I'll answer you as best I can. Everybody, have a good time. Enjoy cooking. I hope you share this recipe with your family. Thank you.